Hello all, this is Joe. Welcome back to the channel. As promised, we're doing the fourth subscription I'm going through with Fanhome .com, the 1970 Dodge Charger. I already have videos posted for my R2-D2, my Iron Man, and my 1966 Batmobile. So now the last one for this month of April is the Fast and Furious Build, the legendary Dodge Charger. This is pack 6. We're doing stages 43 to 52. Let's take a look at our magazine for this stage. A lot of info on the movie. Takes you back to some scenes in the movie, the different movies. Then comes the instructions, and then more info, more stories. This is about tuning things to, customize your real car. So let's get into it. I posted a short video unboxing moments ago. You could go check that out in my channel for this month. And so now it's time to assemble. Looks like we have a gas tank and the battery holder. No screws on this. Maybe oh yeah, we got one screw. It's to close the battery box, and we got a little tiny spring. Yeah, just make sure you check. Some of these parts are so small. Just make sure you're going through and checking what you got. All right, step one, top side of the battery holder here. Insert the screw into the corresponding hole. Once again, I mentioned before, get yourself some real good tweezers, not just cheap ones that you could find anywhere. Okay, we got the spring in there, and then we are going to take the vehicle. All right, just had to kind of read ahead a little bit. Now we're going to take this washer, and let's hope I don't cause a disaster here. We're gonna slide this washer here, and think that should lock down the spring. Let's hopefully it all works out. So far so good. Get it down some more just to reveal the threads only. What I could do is put this on here. Not yet. But I'm going to take a screwdriver. I'm going to hold the washer. See if it'll screw down to its proper position. Yep. Yeah, no need to try and force it down. There. So that little washer stops, and it has some spring tension. So when you lock the battery box, it positions itself in place. So that's it for this stage. Okay, next up, stage 44. Looks like this. A little story about the Dodge Viper, our instructions, and then looks like a bar goes across the engine compartment. It's called stiffen. It's probably show those big, humongous engines create a lot of torque, and you don't want twisting your frame and anything like that. That's what it looks like. Just doing a quick overview. Next up, okay, it looks like we have the battery box. Okay, step one. What are we doing here? We're flipping this over. We have to install a nut. That goes right here. All right, then we have a little cover that covers the nut. We're going to secure it with 2 GP screws. And it goes over like so. Let's get our GP screw. Oh my God, these are so tiny. I don't even know if I could grip them or not. Let's give it a try. We will certainly try. Let's get our tweezer at this position. Got one hole in there. Get that started. Get another one. Oh my God, so tiny. It's like almost like doing a watch repair. Yeah, we did it. My hands weren't that shaky. These, since they're so small and tiny, please don't put any sort of torque on it at all. Just run them down. Now we're going to take this part from our last issue, and we have our wires off to the right. We just set this down on these studs, and we're going to secure them with the FP screws. We got them right here. I thought we didn't get them for a second. Let's open this up. Let's get this installed. It's always a good idea to get everything started. So we got one. Put these in there, 2, 3, and 4. Next up, we're going to uncoil all these wires, and we are going to install this switch. This is actually a switch, I guess, to turn the battery pack on. Let me undo this, and then we'll continue on here. Don't want to make a knot in these wires. Just want to be gentle. Separate them nice and gently. Looks like, okay, according to the picture, we have this wire. We got the switch here, or the cable connector. Let's pull that out of the knot. All right, let's see here. And then we unwind it like that. Okay, so we have this coming out this way. We're probably gonna install that somewhere else later. And then we're gonna take this switch here. You can see it. Yeah, switch. And we're going to install it right there with 2 EP screws. Let me get the screw ready. That way, when I get it in position, I'm ready to go. All right, so we're gonna install this just like so. 2 holes go over the 2 studs. Use a tweezer, gotta get it lined up, and then gently hold pressure down and get the screw started. Get it almost all the way tight, and then grab your next screw, get that lined up, and see if your hole's lined up. It is when you hold it off the ground, like so. Got it. Okay, so now reposition and just do the final torque. I don't really like working with the wires so small. I was always so afraid I'm gonna break these or pull them off the solder or something to that effect. And then we could get our cover from last issue. It goes on like this, and see how it's spring loaded. That spring we installed. We could tighten it down to close the battery box. You have to get it tilted just right. Probably because this washer is blocking the way. Let's push it down some more. Maybe get this down some more. A little temperamental, but it should go. Just there we go. I'm just gonna run it down a few times. No need to lock it down. So that finishes this stage, stage 44. All right, we are up to issue 45. The magazine looks like so. Twinkie the Fixer. It's the first story. Takes you back to Fast and Furious. The one with this guy. Was that Tokyo Drift or something like that? Got your parts list. We have the top of the fuel tank. We continue on with the last few stages. Our speaker retainer and our screw. Our instructions. And the story about drifting is pretty cool. I like that. When it first came out, it was like wow, that's pretty cool how they do that. All right, so first up, we are taking our cover. We have a hole here that we have to feed the wires through. And we're going to do just that. It's like we feed it all the way through until this connector comes through. Then we're going to very carefully put down whatever remains inside. Tuck everything away without crimping anything. All right, and that kind of fits in place just like that. Now we're going to secure it, looks like with 6 8-piece screws. Here's one. All right, same thing. Get everything started before you tighten them up. You want to use a crisscross pattern, that's okay too. Okay, just finishing up the last little bit torque check. That's all 6 screws. You gotta double check. You don't have anything loose. Wiggle it back and forth. Do you feel it clicking? There we go. Let's set that aside for a second. Next up, we are going to install the trying to see where this the wires go. Okay, we're going to install the chassis, the gas tank onto the chassis from underside. So this fits just like this, and we're going to secure it with 4 CP screws. These are a little bigger, which is good. We don't have to hold the vehicle upside down and try and work it that way. Screwing it from the top down. And that'd be just my luck that the screw will come off the screwdriver, and then get everything else started. Got kind of like a few little tiny studs that fit under these screw holes, so you know that you're lined up. This is a slight bump in the gas tank that fits inside here. And the last one, always have a little pressure underneath, that way you don't force anything or break anything. Let's do a final torque check. 2, 3, and 4. We are going to move on to the next stage, and that concludes. Oh no, we still have the speaker to do. Take our speaker, and this fits over our little speaker opening, the speaker housing. It looks like the wires are going this way, and then we'll take our speaker cover, nice and snug in there. We get our CM screws, 1, wiggle it around, make sure it's seated properly, and then install. And number 2, get that. Final torque on this side. Alright, so that completes stage 45. Now speaker. Hi all, welcome back. We are up to stage 46. This should be a fairly simple and easy one. Let's take a look at our magazine. Here we have Sean Boswell, Rebel with a Car. So this is the guy that was in Tokyo. Some stories on him. Our instruction. These are the modern day Dodge Chargers. I try to record my unboxing video. You see that? Does that look like a retro, vintage Dodge Charger? No, it doesn't. Reason being, Chrysler invented this cab forward design. What that does is bring the A-pillar all the way forward, and that's why new cars have such a huge dashboard. All these manufacturers are making retro cars. You got the Mustang, that was easy to do. You have the Corvette and Camaro, and all of them were able to make, a retro vehicle. But why can't Dodge come out and make a retro Charger? Why does it have to look like this? Which to me just looks like a Chrysler 300. I don't like it at all, and I'm proud to say that. Reason being is, if you look closely down here, the A-pillar sits way back, and that's why you're able to have this long hood. These modern day Chargers have short hoods, maybe almost half the size of a 1968, 69, or 70 Charger. Dodge would just scrap the cab forward design and move that A-pillar back. They could actually make a retro looking Dodge Charger. That's my piece. I'm sticking to it. So let's get into it. Instructions, you have stuff on how the brake system works, calipers, rotors, and a lot of good info. So this step, we have work back on the chassis again. What we have today is our electronic control unit right here. Each plug is labeled. Be careful. You have, it says 1, we got 1A, 1B, 1C, D, E, F, G, and H. So pay close attention to where you're installing your wiring harnesses. And today we have a harness for our engine and horn. The white one is for lights, and then this one with another control board is for our dash lights. Okay, so this electronic control unit goes onto the chassis, but let me connect the connectors first. So the dashboard goes to 1H. Just double check where 1H is. It's right here. So let's install that. These are super tiny, delicate. Don't force it. Take your time. Make sure it's lined up. You hear a little click. Next up, we have the white wire. Goes to 1G. It's right here. If you look closely at this connector, the holes are closer to one edge than they are the other. And then when you look at the control unit, the receptacle, you can see the pins are closer to one edge than the other. And then you just line up just like that, and it'll slide right in. So look for those little details before you jump into something. Make sure you got it right. And then lastly, we have the engine and horn, and it is going into 1F. Looking at my control board, 1F is this one. Find out which way it goes and install it nice and smooth like. Okay, let's move this out of the way. We have to get our screw ready, and we're going to install this control board onto the chassis. I went ahead and looked ahead of the instructions, and I already installed 3 AAA batteries into the battery box we just installed last issue. Let's secure this electronic control unit first. Okay, so this one, if your screws are a little bit loose, don't worry about it. These circuit boards are extremely delicate. You definitely do not want to put any sort of torque on them at all. Watch closely to where it's, if you crack that and mess up a circuit, your thing's not going to work. So please be very careful and gentle that you don't crack this green circuit board. And I don't even care if they're not even all the way down. It is secure enough that it's not going to come out. There's no vibrations. We're not going to be driving this car. It's just a model. It's going to be up on the shelf. And so take precaution and just be on the safe side there. All right, so now we have the control unit installed. We are going to connect the speaker, and the speaker goes to 1E. That's this yellow wire. Let's get it lined up, and I guess it just goes the tunnel area. Got that installed, and then we're going to take the actual battery box and connect it to 1D, which is this one. Make sure you got it lined up with the pins. That goes in 1D. There we go. Okay, then you install the batteries, which I did already, and turn the switch on. Is that on right there? And then each one of these wiring harnesses has a switch to it. Let's see if this is in all the way. Okay. So I have a button here turn it on and off, turn your dash lights on and off. It's going to get routed somewhere to where you could easily reach this. So my switch, if you flip it, the switch that way, connected to the gas tank, that's off. When I press the switch, nothing happens. So when I move the switch forward, test it out, my dash light's on. And press it again, shut them off. Okay, so we know that works. Now we have this one. Let's see what happens when I press this. That's my horn. Oh, press it again. Engine starts. Let's see what happens if you press it a third time. Okay, it shuts off. So one click starts the beeps the horn. Second click starts the engine. It starts every time. It's probably not the case in real life. Alrighty, so that takes care of issue stage 46. We have still 3 more slots connecting to this electronic control unit, and I'm curious what those will be. Let's move along. Alright, y'all, welcome back. We're up to stage 47. We got the story about Arturo Braga, an enigma. The beginning of the magazine. We have the 2006 Dodge Challenger concept. Like I was mentioning earlier, this concept retro look for the Challenger is easy to do with the cab forward design because it's a shorter hood. I really wish Dodge will get rid of that cab forward design and make a real retro version of the Dodge truck with a really long hood, really long trunk, really long wheelbase, and just make it modern with the most up-to-date technology, and it would be badass. Okay, we have our instructions. Looking like we got more wire harnesses, and then we have more about calipers. Last issue it talked a lot about, you know, brakes and rotors. This one is caliper. And you guys have a machine shop. This looks like it'd be fun to do. You make your own part, but you need a lathe and all that. All right, so what we have here on this issue, we have the wire harness for the brake lights. As you can see by the red light, we got the wire harness for the headlights, indicated by the white lights. And then we have a switch to turn them on. Comes with 4 chassis stands, but we're not going to need those. We will save those for, I guess, the completed model to keep it off the wheels. Then we have screws, which we're going to use next issue, and we have the cable clamps. All this cabling has to be routed and wired, secured properly so it doesn't snag on anything. And that's for next issue. So first up, we're going to install the brake lights into let's see, into 1B. No, we're going to install the switch into 1B, which is right here. Sure we got it lined up right. Okay, got the switch in. Right next to that we have into 1A goes the green and white, which is the headlights. Goes in right here. What if we turn this switch on? Okay, how about this switch? What does this switch do? Okay, all right, here. This switch controls the dash, the brake lights, and the headlights. And then this one changes the intensity. So let's see if we can see the lights go brighter. It just makes them flash, makes them blink. But they check good. And all right, we're going to move on to the next step. Hi all, welcome back. Now we're up to stage 48. Build a legendary Dodge Charger. If you want to get a subscription of your own, go to fanhome.com and subscribe. You get 100, no you don't, it completed I think in 110 stages, and you get 10 stages a month. Okay, in this issue we got actor John Ortiz. Did something unusual in the Fast and Furious. He was one character at the start of the film and another at the end. Thanks to the ingenious plot twist, he would appear again in Fast and Furious 6. Ramon Campos. So we have more story. We have our instructions, and we got the Dodge Dart. That's a cool car. I like it. In this issue, we have more plan to deal with, a little bit of work on that, and much needed cable management. Then at the end, a story about an article about wrapping vehicles. That's an art in itself. These guys are really good to do that. I wonder how many times they have to practice to get it perfect, and whose car are they practicing on. All right, so let's get into it. First up, like I said, I'm gonna do some cable management. We're gonna use now our CM screws and our cable clamps. So we'll start off. We have pairs of studs on each side, one here, and then back here. And so we're going to carefully and nicely. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the clamp. So the smaller clamps go in the back here, and then the larger clamp is for the front harnesses. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start one side and then slide the clamp out of the way, and then slide it over the wires. I think you can see the back there. And then once I get the cables underneath the clamp, then I'm going to start the second hole, and that way it doesn't come out. And always give yourself a little bit of slack wherever you need it, and then we'll continue on. All right, I got the cable mounted here inside the cable clamps. So we started off with the tail lights, the battery box, and they wanted you to route it just like this. Okay, once again, I got my cable clamps installed one side, just like so, and then I could start running the wires through. I think I'll start with the one furthest away. So we have this, we'll do the switch last. So the one furthest away is this white and green. We're going to take this, straighten it out as much as possible. These are the front headlights. We're going to run this down into this groove. Just a little bit of slack around. Next up is this one, the switch. Once again down, kind of tuck it under the circuit board. And next up is this one, a little bit of slack. And then we'll do this white wire. It's for the turn them on switch. And last up is our green wire here. It's another switch. And then we close the cable clamps, and we're going to screw them down. Alrighty, be right back. Alright, so I closed up all the cable clamps and just tightening them down. So we got our cable management all done, out of the way. Just doing a final check. And what I do is just like maybe push the wires back just a hair, so it'll give us some slack so we don't have really sharp bends. You could take your take something, pull back on it, give yourself some more slack so we have some smooth curves. And that's it for oh wait, now we have to move this out of the way. We have the floor pan to do right here. And the instructions say to install these hooks. We're going to turn it this way. I don't even think they're threaded. We just install some hooks. And they're not even metal, they're plastic. It looks like they go, get my magnifying glass here. We install these. And this is it for issue 48. That's it. Just want you to install 4 hooks right there. Alright, issue 49. Today we're going to be working on the center console, a piece to the tunnel, the transmission tunnel, protected from the drive shaft. And we have the gear shifter and gear knob. Okay. The issue looks like this. We have a little article on the charger there, going through tunnels. Terry Leonard. We have the charger concept right here. Looks pretty nice. So we're going back to work on the center floor pan. And then getting creative with dipping. Talking about painting here. Pretty nice. Alright, so first up, we are going to connect the shift gate to the center console here. Let's see here. Looks like it goes on this way. No. There we go. That looks better. Get an 8-piece screw. We'll fasten this down. Okay, doesn't look like, okay, so here's the gear level. You put it through this hole here. And you say make sure it fits in nice and snug. And it goes through the shifting. Let's see if it kind of snaps in place. Let's push it down a little more. I feel like it should like snap in there. And then you take the knob and connect it here. It doesn't say put any glue, but I really think it should fit more snugly than this. Let's try this. Let's try and connect this knob. Hopefully that fits nice and snug without any glue. Because when you have it like this, it's just gonna fall. And it says insert the thinner end of the gear level into the corresponding housing of the center console, ensuring that the ball at the opposite end fits snugly into the housing. That is not snug at all. Let me find something that'll fit that in snugly. Okay, I tried, but so what we got going on here is the floor pan has this piece here, and you can see it has a recess for the ball to sit in. Then it has a notch here, so you line it up correctly. 2 studs that fit through the holes. So even though this is loose and it's like that, once you put it over, then there's no more slop. It takes away that slop. I want to put the knob later after I connect this. So let me get a screw ready. We flip over the floor pan like so and secure it. Had too much coffee this morning, a bit jittery. I made some of that Cuban coffee. It's really strong, but it tastes good. Let's tighten this up. Okay, so now all it's left to do is put the shifter knob on. There. And now we have the shifter. There we go. Last but not least, we have our center middle section of the transmission tunnel. Okay, this goes underneath, it looks like. It says to go from the bottom. Yeah, why is it showing the top there in the instructions? Why don't you just say put it in through the bottom like that? Get a screw ready. And then we'll secure this. And this takes care of issue stage 49. I don't know if you guys caught it, but here on this left side, there's a little decal installed already. It says Winters. We are issue 50. Story about Phoenix, the opposite of Toretto. A lot more stories. This issue, I'm going to look at the 1914 Model 30. That's a pretty cool car right there. And then we're going to be assembling some brackets and the fire extinguisher onto the floor pan over the tunnel. And then we have more customs and modifications for body work in the back of the issue. All right, here we go. We have the fire extinguisher. It's a nice deep fire engine red. It'll stand out and pop against this all black interior. Connect that with a couple AP screws. Let's do that right now. There's one, here's two. It's pretty easy. Then we have to install this onto the fire extinguisher stand, which will be next. The stand goes right here. Let's foot orient this according to how the instructions want it. So you put the stand first over these holes. It has one little guide pin that goes into this tiny hole right here. You can't mess that up. And then the extinguisher with the handle forward. With the handle forward. Okay, this piece goes F, the stand itself, and then the handle goes forward. And then before you do that, we have to install this pressure gauge onto the extinguisher. That fits nice and snug. Let's get some AP screws, because now the screws are going to hold the extinguisher to the pan, and then that don't make sense. Doesn't line up. The holes don't line up with the tunnel. Okay, must have been my imagination. Let's get this going. You gotta try and learn how to use both hands. I set up the wrong way. I used the wrong hand to hold this together. To install these brackets they're talking about. We got two brackets, 50E, with the corresponding holes on the right hand side. So we want these kind of brackets to face each other. Looks like I'm gonna go in between these brackets. Let's do time. Get them started. Okay, just finishing up here. Installing these two brackets, and it's the final one, and that takes care of issue 50. We're all done. All right, we were up to stage 51, almost done. All right, in this issue, we have a night race in LA. A lot of races and chases and stuff in Fast and Furious between Miami, Tokyo, the Middle East. Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor did a lot of racing. More on the more articles on the movie. Then we have the 2013 Dodge Dart. Personally, I think that was a flop. Doesn't look nothing like the original. I don't see anybody really driving these things. Then we have our instructions. Continuing on with the floor plan. I keep saying floor plan. And then how to clean your car. An article on how to clean your car and buff it. So continuing on with the floor pan, we have all the brake pedals we're going to install, and we're going to install the brake light switch. If you remember from all the wire harnesses we installed, they all separate. They all have a connector in the middle, which is good, because instead of having the whole chassis here trying to install this onto this piece, I could just separate them and then work very nicely on here what I'm doing. So the first step is, like I said, we separated this from the harness. We're going to install this onto the all the pedal covers. Okay, we have to adjust these wires so that we can get it to fit. This fits inside here. We have to move the wires down a little bit out of the way. It's got to be a really tight fit. This goes inside here. You get that going for you. Okay, so we got that cover onto the switch. I had to do some maneuvering and bending, but you just want to make sure that the switch still works. We got the wires out of the way, kind of give it a couple clicks and make sure nothing's interfering. You hear that? Feel that? Okay, so now we are going back to the floor pan right here, and we're going to install all these pedals. So first up, we're going to take this itty bitty tiny spring, and please hope I don't lose it, and it fits right inside this slot right here. Let's get a closer look. It's inside this little slot right here. Then the brake pedal has a little stud that goes inside that spring. Let's make sure I have it on there. Yes, it's on there. It goes into this slot. Okay, now we take the now we're going to take the clutch pedal. It goes in here. These all have little little guide pins. So that one goes there. And then we have the accelerator pedal, which goes here. Okay, and we are going to be securing all of these with CP screws. So let's get a screw ready. Now we take the cover panel with the wire facing that way, and we are going to cover all of these just like that. We're going to flip it over and secure it very gentle like. We're going to install 4 CP screws. Okay, that one I tightened all the way just so to make sure it doesn't come apart, and that's right where the spring is. And so what happens is you could push the brake pedal with your finger, and that'll click the switch, and that'll make your brake lights come on. Just 2 more screws, and then 1 more stage, and we'll be done with this month's subscription. Last one, and I'll kind of show you a little demonstration. I'm not going to install it onto the car with the wire harness connected. I'm just going to show you manually what we're talking about here. Okay, so we had that spring in there, and the brake pedal has an arm right there, and it's touching that switch we installed. And when you take your finger and press the brake pedal, you hear it clicking on and off. Just be careful, it's plastic. I wish it was metal. And that is turning the lights on and off. See that? Sounds a little bit different when you actually press the pedal. And then the accelerator and the clutch don't do anything, they're just there. So don't press on those and break those. All right, so that covers issue 51. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you made it this far, we're on issue 52. This is the last stage of the 10 for this month. The issue looks like this. We got Stasiak, a fraternal agent, article about him. Okay, then we have the, and here we go. Here is the last screw. It takes the guesswork out of it, takes a little bit of the creativity out of it, but these are detailed enough to where it kind of makes up for it. I know there's guys out there who are master craftsmen and could probably build this thing from scratch with just using their own imagination and tooling that they have, like lathes and stuff like that. But I'm not at that point yet, so that's why I'm doing these. So there you have it. that completes this month's Dodge Charger. That's issue 52. I think there's 100 stages or 110 stages, so that leaves like it's either 48 or 58 stages left. So we're right around the halfway point. Once again, thank you, and we'll see you next time.